And as I say, I was fortunate to spend time with you in August in your region and vineyards. I'm going to hand over to you because I know you've prepared a presentation on Plaimont and your real long-standing protection and nurture of old vineyards and how that's really developed into the production of wines that really celebrate old vines. So what we're going to do is I'm going to stay on the screen to talk through. I've got quite a few questions, but Olivier, I'm going to let you lead through with your presentation. And I know that this is going to be very dense in terms of info. If anyone has any requests for follow-up and wants to see the presentation, we can share it with them. Okay, over to you, Olivier.
Hello, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm so happy to be with you today. You know how important is this subject for Plaimont and for its future. So yeah, it's wonderful for us to share it. So yeah, if you want to have a few words on what Plaimont is. So maybe where Plaimont is, we are in this small region in the foothills of the Pyrenees, really close to the Atlantic Ocean. So two big influences in terms of climatic influence between this ocean, the freshness of the ocean, and mainly the presence of the Pyrenees that make the big importance for the preservation we had for years, and the influence of this fresh climate, cool climate in the Pyrenees with a lot of water. This is very, very important. A lot of people think that in the south of France, there is no water at all. In reality, in the foothills, there is a lot of water. We are talking about between 1,000 and 1,200 millimeters a year. So it's huge. So very, very important in the if you want to understand Plaimont, to keep this in mind. And then the situation between Toulouse and Biarritz, maybe if you know this wonderful small city in the Pays Basque. So we are managing three AOP, Saint-Mont, Madiran, and Pachering du Vic-Bilh, three small AOPs. All of them are part of the Pyrenean foothills. And then a bigger one, a bigger AGP, I would say. You see the AOP in the southern part, Madiran and Pachering du Vic-Bilh. The most important part is Saint-Mont. The beginning of the story of Plaimont is Saint-Mont appellation here in the middle. And the main one, the most important one, is an IGP in Gascony, with really fresh, easy drinking wines, mainly white wines. So this is Plaimont. In a few words, we are talking around 5,000 hectares of vineyard, which is big for this small region. We are managing around 25% of the region in terms of vineyard. But we are a very young co-op. We were created in the year 1971, but that guy, André Dubosc, he is the founder of the project. He is that guy who believed that it was possible in this small region created around Armagnac alcohol production to have a big ambition around the wine production. And he selected the project of Plaimont. He asked the wine growers to join the wine project of Plaimont if they want to develop this wine project. So 40 years ago, a bit more than 40 years ago, we created Plaimont from nothing, really nothing. The second big year, maybe to know, is the creation of a conservatory in the year 2002. We will come back to it, Sarah, if you want to. But we have the most important conservatory, private conservatory of grape in France. A bit more than 20 years ago, we created it with 39, in the moment, 39 disappeared grapes that we are conserving and studying in this conservatory. And then maybe to 2011 we will have opportunity to talk about it. for our oldest plot planted in the years, the early 80s, I would say, 1810, maybe. It was planted in the year 1810. So recognized as a historic.
I think we've just had an issue with Olivier's connection, so I'm just going to pick up on this. So this 2011, this awarding of the vineyard Sarah as a historical monument is a really key moment. It's the first time in the history of France that a vineyard was approved as a historic monument, and the process of applying for that and successfully managing it is a really interesting story. Just while we're waiting for Olivier to reconnect, I'm going to pick up on this and tell you a bit about it. So they really wanted to protect this Sarah vineyard. It's ungrafted, own-rooted, 21 grape varieties. Many of the grape varieties were not even known and are still not known. So they give them kind of mystery names. And originally it was André Dubosc, I mean, an incredible leader in the region of Gascony. So André Dubosc, who was one of the founders, who was essentially the founder of the Plaimont cooperative, always respected and wanted to nurture this vineyard. But it was very much kept as almost like a garden conservatory. So wine was not made from it, but they wanted to protect it. And the reason that they set out to have it classified as a historical monument is that this comes with all sorts of protections in France. You know how splendidly defensive the French are of their culture, how protective they can be. So when they wanted to have it protected as a historical monument, it means it sort of it can endure changes of ownership and so on. Are you back, Olivier?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry,
I was just jumping in and just filling in a little bit on the historic monument to Sarah Gachet, and a little bit about your thinking in having that classified. But we can always pick up on that. I'll let you carry on with your presentation, but don't worry if you lose the connection. These things happen. Fortunately, you've given me you've taught me a lot, so if it happens, I can fill in until you come back.
To tell you the truth, we have a big storm right there in Gascony, so yeah, I cross the finger.
Good luck.
So yeah, maybe you lost me when I was talking about the last project of this incredible winery dedicated to researches. I have a small tank just behind me, coming from the winery, where we are making a wonderful job dedicated to research. 3 million euro last year, only to develop no wine at all, but only knowledge on those disappeared grapes. So it's incredible for us.
Thanks.
Maybe to have a small images from us. So Plaimont is 2 parcels of pre-phylloxeric vines. So the monument, the historical monument, and another one. And then the preservation of wild vines. Maybe we will come back to it. It is Vitis vinifera sylvestris. We saw one together, Sarah, a few weeks ago. And then so the job on the conservatory, which is really important, but maybe we can share on the point where you want to develop a little bit more.
Fantastic. Yes, and I think that what really struck me was when I came to visit you was that you've had from the beginning a concern to conserve these varieties, but actually it was almost like they were in a kind of beautiful garden museum, and it's actually more recently that you realized that you could really work with these varieties and not just keep them as almost like agricultural artifacts almost, but actually put them back to work in a way that was really important for the quality and the style of your wines?
Yeah, you're right. Maybe the willing of the first guys of Plaimont, André Dubosc and the team, was maybe in a region with a lack of notoriety to show how important was the story of the vine in the cultural development of the region. So the very beginning was only to make a museum and to show all this wonderful history in Gascony and in Saint-Mont. But we saw this figure. If you want to share that one, it's frightening. And 15 years ago, we saw this, and the importance of biodiversity was a bit growing in France, as everywhere in the world. So we were frightening around this figure. To explain the small figure, you see there, in the year 1958, with 20 grapes. In France, you know them, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Pinot Noir, Syrah, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, the main ones, the main 20 ones, were representing 53% of the vineyard in the year 1958. In the year 2014, it was 87% of the vineyard. Now it's 91% of the vineyard. Can you imagine the lack of diversity, of biodiversity we had in France? It was huge. And in Plaimont, we are working for 40 years only grapes that are not part of those 20 grapes. So you can see with 40 grapes in France, we have more than 95% of the vineyard. And we have hundreds and thousands of different grapes in France. And with 40, you have more than 95 or 96 now percent of the vineyard. We want to come back on it. We want to open the potential in taste, in climatic adaptation, many things. The biodiversity is an answer to the problems we have to face right now. So in Plaimont, we are working on giving for Southwest France. I don't think that all our grapes are really ready for being everywhere in the world, but for our region, Plaimont is working to develop the possibilities to develop answers to the next willings, I would say, in terms of climatic adaptation, in terms of adaptation to the willing of the consumer to discover something else, something a bit away from the beaten tracks in terms of taste, in terms of balance in the wine. We have solutions on those grapes. So now it's not a museum at all. It is really the conservatory is where we are preparing the future of Plaimont.
Fantastic. Okay. Do you want to carry on with your, here we are. Yeah. So tell us about this vineyard.
Yeah, I want to tell you, to talk to you about this wonderful vineyard. So it is the historical monument, so the only one in the world, as far as I know. It's something really incredible because that plot is ungrafted. You can imagine it was planted between the year 1810 and 1830. The young ampellographs don't agree on that point, but yeah, it's between those 200 years old, to tell the truth. It is incredible because it is 20% of an hectare of vineyard, 0.21, and we have 21 different grapes on that one, and 7 of them are completely unknown. All of them are disappeared. The main parts are disappeared, but 7 of them are completely unknown. It is the only place where we found them. So it is really unique, incredible in terms of age, unique in France, unique in terms of biodiversity. And the next, the last one important in this plot, it is conducted in square, a bit as you are conducting fruit trees. It's not a vineyard. There was no row at the very beginning. It was in square, 2 meters in each way. So it is incredible when the first ampelograph, all the best ampelograph in the world came to this plot and saw this. It was huge, unique. And they asked the French government to help us to protect it, to make a very big subject on that plot, to help it to go a bit further. You see it, all the plot is unique. It's the health is incredible. To understand why it is like this, it is incredible to have this in this health. After 200 years, and what we can do with that unique plot, we grafted all the plants to be sure not to lose if there is a problem on an ancient plant, but we are studying this amazing one, and the very beginning of Plaimont, in my opinion, is in this plot.
So this is 0.2 hectares. Henri Dubosc really nurtured it from the very beginning. It's still owned by the same family.
Yeah.
It's privately owned. Seventh generation. And
maybe Sarah, just to tell you something incredible, they kept with love this small plot during 7 generation after generation, without earning any money on it. They were not selling the wine. It was really a plot for the wine consumption of the family. It was really that maybe because they kept it. It was not very important to produce more. They had enough wine for them, so they kept it years after years. Decades after decades, during 200 years, without thinking, changing, putting clones in that plot, producing more. It was not the project. They only want to keep this attachment to the people, to the ancients of the family who planted this plot, and that is really unique.
Yes, and actually very beautiful. And so, when did you start working more closely on the microvinifications and the researches into this plot?
The beginning of the research is the beginning of the year 2000. The ampelograph, the best French ampelograph first went to see this plot in the last 90s, and we started the big researches on the plot at the beginning of this century, and then we created the conservatory from that plot and another plots, very old plots, in the year 2002, and we studied all the evolution of those plots during nearly 10 years. And then microvinification started in the year 2008. Nearly 10 years after, we started to develop the willing of knowing the taste of those grapes, because we knew how they were resistant or tolerant to this disease or not, the potential of sugar, the potential of acidity, when they were getting matured in reality. So this took around 10 years. And after 10 years, we started to have a look on the taste of the wine. So yeah, 15 years ago, I would say.
So it's actually been a very long and forward-thinking project. And tell us about some of the varieties that you first found in this plot that after your researches and microvinifications, you then thought, actually, we're going to really focus on this variety, use this genetic material, expand plantings, because I think you've done a lot of work on that, haven't you?
For sure, for sure. So maybe we see one plant of an unknown grape. So we name it by the name of the owner of the plot, Mr. P. de Bernard. He is the owner of the plot. He is a member of the co-op. This is the number one of the grapes we didn't find anywhere else in the world for the moment.
So there's there was one vine of an unknown variety, one vine which you called P. de Bernard after Monsieur P. de Bernard,
exactly.
and you have not found any other matches to anything else.
No. So it is the very first time for us to discover this grape. So we have 7 of them in this plot. So P. de Bernard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one is red, but we have white, and we have a pink with white juice. Number 4 is a pink with white juice. Very important, the number 4. I will come back to it. And then we have disappeared grapes. I will talk about one if you want, Sarah. We will come back to it if you want to know more, but this one is the grape tardif. Tardif, in French, it's late. That means late. The wine grower who gave this name to that grape didn't like it so much. It was difficult for him to get it perfectly matured, I guess. So, but now this grape, name late, it was entered in the French conservatory. We have the most important conservatory in French in the southern part of France, in Sète. We call that Vassal, and that grape was entered in the conservatory, in the French conservatory, in the year 1840. It's an old conservatory. We have more than 2,000 different grapes in this conservatory, and that's why we know that the plant we refound in this small plot was named Tardif, because it was entered in Vassal in the year 1840 with that name. So now the name is
Bernard. You found no match, but then you found a vine in this plot which did match to Tardif. Yeah, exactly.
So P. de Bernard has no name. We had to give our name for the moment. It's a code name, I would say. We will find another one, a better one. The marketing has to think about it, but for the moment we give that code while we are studying only the P. de Bernard. But Tardif, it's a grape. It's a known grape. The guy who entered that grape in the French conservatory gave it Tardif. So it is now disappeared. Nobody knows anything about Tardif, but the name of that grape is Tardif for everywhere in the world.
So its late ripening used to be a disadvantage.
Exactly.
Now, it's actually an advantage. So tell us about what you've done at Plaimont with this kind of forgotten variety.
For sure, a late grape is something very important for the future, in my opinion. We can do with early grapes in the future, but we see even in the foothills of the Pyrenees, where we have a lot of water, we see how increasing the temperature is for the moment. We are fighting against, in the year 2022, big periods of high temperature. It makes that the maturity is getting earlier and earlier. And you know, the flowering in our region is in June, beginning of June. If the maturity is beginning of September, that makes the plant able to have the grape during 3 months, 3 months and a half. It's not enough. No, if a mother is having his child during 9 months is much better than if you have it during 6 or 7. Now the medicine, everyone knows how to do it for giving health to a child, even after 6 or 7 months. But it's much better if you get 9. Some region in France, maybe everywhere in the world, are picking the grape beginning of August. Can you imagine? It's 2 months and a half with where the plant has the grape with it. So it's not enough. We have to think about adaptation and putting in some terroir, in some microclimatic particularity, having tools. The grape is a tool. Never forget this, to make this terroir happy with the climate, the willing of the wine growers, the adaptation on the plot, the quality of the soil. So we have to readapt all this with the evolution we have to do with. So Tardif was a grape maybe unuseful 200 years ago for the wine growers in this period. It was fresh, impossible to get the perfect maturity. But right now, can you imagine the potential of such a grape? We will see for the future. We picked that, I would say, between the 1st of October and the 15th of October. Last year, it was the 1st of October. This year, it was just a few days ago. It's something completely new for us. It's the ability, the potential of this grape in this moment, with the complexity, the aromatic complexity of that grape, is something completely new, completely incredible for the zone. So we have to work on it, understanding the potential of that grape and settling that grape again. So this grape is coming back to our vineyard. We found 2 plants in the historical monument, and we grafted 40 plants in the conservatory. Now we have 3.5 hectares coming back in the vineyard, and we are redeveloping that grape everywhere in Saint-Mont appellation. So the INAO in France, the French administration allowed us to put back this Tardif in Saint-Mont appellation. So it's wonderful. The future of Saint-Mont appellation is with the traditional Tannat, but Tardif will help Tannat to keep the balance, to keep the evolution we want to have in this appellation for the next generation. So yeah, Tardif is the future of Saint-Mont.
And I think thank you. And I think you've got some information, some slides on Tardif and the family relationship. So do you want to show us those?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm sorry, maybe they are at the end, but yeah, can you see that? Yeah. Tardif is you see at the top of this schematic presentation, you see the Tardif expression in terms of, so it's late first, and then there is an expression, aromatic expression, which is really unique for the grapes coming from the foothills. It is very rich in a famous molecule. Maybe you have heard about it. It's rotundone. It is the one of the main molecule that give the expression for the Syrah, for example. But you see for the Pinot d'Aunis, if you know Pinot d'Aunis in the Loire Valley, maybe for a grape I love in Armenia, named Areni or Arani. If you have opportunity to taste that grape, it's wonderful. We are following a lot this grape. I love it, and you see the ability of that grape to produce this incredible molecule, rotundone, that give the spicy expression, the peppery expression to our wines, is incredible. We are able to detect in a wine the peppery expression in a wine.
Just while we're waiting for Olivier's connection to resume, Yes, so Tardif is known for this, it has very high concentrations of rotondine, this very spicy, peppery characteristic. And actually, Plaimont make a number of wines with the focus on Tardif, and it is very delicious. And as Olivier mentioned, they succeeded in getting INAO, the French regulatory wine authorities, to authorize Tardif as an accepted variety for the appellation wines of Saint-Mont. And just while we wait for Olivier's connection to weather through the storm and come back, I think it was just worth running through what it took for them to preserve this original vineyard, which was basically the mother sort of planting where they found Tardif and others that they're researching. So they had to establish that that parcel's genetic richness was unique, and they had to build a case to get the authorities to actually agree to classify this as a national monument. Most historical monuments in France are, they're buildings, they're churches, monasteries, ancient sites, but they're physical structures. They then had to build a case which involved them mobilizing all the local and regional political forces. So the local bodies, mayors, councils, state deputies, senators. They had to get the engagement of the regional director of cultural affairs, the prefect of the department, and they all had to come together in each request for their case to be considered. And then they go to the Interdisciplinary Commission of the Buildings of France, and they make an official application. The Interdisciplinary Commission comes and visits the plot, and after submitting and analysing the case, they then rely on a panel of experts to vote whether it can be registered as a national monument. And in fact, they then have a majority vote, and the vote went in their favour, with 5 votes in favour and 4 against. So it's really extraordinary for this very ancient vineyard in this really old, this very sort of remote, rural southwestern part of France to achieve this classification. I'm going to just finish. I'm going to put Olivier's presentation on my screen and share it with you. I hope he can join. He's the most wonderful speaker, but he's got so much good stuff. I don't want you not to see it. So I'll do my best to be Olivier's stand-in. So we've gone through the context. Something I think is really worth mentioning to you is that Olivier and his colleagues are really intrigued, and they think there's a lot of value to be learned from researching wild, uncultivated vinifera. So it's Vitis vinifera sylvestris, so Vitis vinifera of the forest. I was mentioning this to Nayan Gauda, who was speaking yesterday, of course, because he's very interested in arboreal viticulture. And Olivier took us into the forest to show us there's some very, very old wild vines that they have been observing. And it really is, if you're a wine lover, I think seeing, if you like, the kind of untamed vines, we talk about raw wine, but it's almost like raw vines, how they behave in their natural habitat. And they're observing and researching these vines to help them understand the natural attributes and resilience of vines, because they really want to understand how they can harness this knowledge for future development of basically resilient varieties, and simply to be helpful. This is I think co-ops can get a really bad press. Sometimes they're associated with being antithetical to the preservation and the valuing of old vineyards. But actually, I think when you have a co-op that really gets behind these heritage vineyards, basically it sets up a whole long-term way of thinking. Olivier, welcome back. I've done my best to be you. I should have worn the beret. I've talked a little bit already about your work with the research into the Sylvestris, the Lambrusques, as you call them. I wondered if you just wanted to pick up on what your researches have shown I'm sharing your presentation from here.
Okay.
What your researchers have shown on the relationship between the grape varieties of the Southwest, because there's some interesting stuff you found here.
Yeah, you see, thank you. But you see all the job we are making to understand the links between all our traditional grapes. You have to understand we have a wonderful privilege to have this biodiversity. But if we don't do the job to understand the links between those grapes, to understand the genetic adaptation years after years, evolution in our grapes, nobody is able to do that. So Plaimont is doing this with the support, incredible support of the INRA in France. We have an agronomic department that is incredible in terms of ampelography. I have to name the people who joined Plaimont, who helped Plaimont a lot to understand the potential of this genetic, with maybe Mr. Boursicot, maybe Mr. Lacombe or Yobrega. They are making everywhere in the world. They are one of the best in the world, but they did a wonderful job to develop, to understand this those links. And all those grapes, some of those grapes are really, really important for the future. And you see all the link we know right now, and we can build in for the future. So you see, maybe in this slide, maybe the only thing is to understand how Tardif is different. It's not linked with the big family of the Pyrenean grapes. It's only linked with that wonderful unknown grape, the Pays de Bernard number 4. So it is one of the 7 unknown in Pays de Bernard plots. And this one is white, pink with white juice, and it is linked to our Tardif. And those 2 grapes are really nearly brothers, but one is black, one is white. And all of them, both of them are really, really interesting for the future.
A little bit on the indigenous grapes. I want to make sure we have time to talk about your very old vine Tannat, though.
Sure.
So do you want to say just a little bit about these indigenous grapes?
Quickly, and to remember what we are working with right now, only traditional grapes. The Tannat is the main one. The Pinanque, always, in general, it's called Fer Servadou, but the local name is Pinanque. Is an incredible grape for rosé wine, for easy drinking red wines. Both Cabernet were born, Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon. It's a very small part of our production, but they were born in the foothills of the Pyrenees, and the Cabernet Franc, which is a little bit the father of that family, is coming from the foothills of the Pyrenees. And then the 2 main grapes, Petit Manseng and Gros Manseng, those ones are incredible. They need a lot of water, so pay attention if you want to develop Gros Manseng and Petit Manseng. They need a lot of water, and there is only this small room, there a small place in the foothills where it gives all the best, all its potential. The Colomba, which is the most famous grape in Gascony, it's not typically 100% Pyrenean grape. It's another family, but yeah, it is very famous in the region. And the Petit Courbu, very important to blend with the Gros Manseng, very, very fat, I would say. It gives the aging potential of our Saint-Mont white. And maybe the Arrefiac, very bitter, very tannic. It's not the one when you're thinking about the top potential grape, but it is adding in a blend that gives this small bitterness that allows the expression of the pineapple and grapefruit expression of the Gros Manseng in our region. So it's very important. Mont Saint-Noir, thank you to giving me something to say about it. It is the first grape we redeveloped. It was completely disappeared, the Mont Saint-Mont, we entered it in the conservatory as a tannat with low level of alcohol. We thought it was a tannat, but the potential of sugar when we were following it was so low, and it's 11, 12 degrees, never more. So really linked to tannat. It's same father, same mother, we think. But the potential of alcohol is really lower. That's why people stopped with it 200 years ago. But we have to put it again in the vineyard. So one plant refound in the year 2001, not in the same plot, in another one. We made 40 plants in the conservatory. Now we have 39 hectares of Mont Saint-Mont replanted in the vineyard. So you can share if you want. There is a wonderful cuvée. If you want to taste the wine, yeah. We are the only one able to make you able to taste the
it's absolutely delicious, this wine.
Yeah, I love that one. It's very spicy, very fresh, easy drinking, 11.5 degrees of alcohol. So yeah, another story of the region.
And I'm sorry, I know I'm rushing you slightly, but I would just say if people watching, if you get the chance to get down to Gascony, it takes a little bit of an effort. It's this corner, but do go and see Olivier and team at Plaimont. Actually, we hope to host a field trip with Plaimont. So we're now talking about the vineyard for this wine. I haven't opened it yet, it's a bit early, but I'm going to have steak for dinner, so it's ready for me. Do you want to tell us about La Madeleine and the single vineyard of very old vines?
So La Madeleine is a 0.8 hectares of vineyard. It's a very small plot. We are producing in this plot around 1,500 to 2,000 bottles a year, a very small one. It was planted in the year 1880 to 1890. We don't know the exact year. We thought it was ungrafted because I refound some roots from the tannat, but in reality there was a rootstock in the bottom. It was Noah. In reality, that plot was destroyed by phylloxera in the latest 80s. And it was replanted in Noah, this specific hybrid able to resist to phylloxera, and it was conducted with Noah during 20-30 years, and then they grafted tannat on the Noah after 20 or 30 years. This is an amazing story.
It's like a kind of proto rootstock.
Exactly, unusual rootstock. We don't use it as a rootstock anymore. But this incredible story of La Madeleine makes an incredible wine. I love that wine. It's fresh, it's spicy, with a lot of licorice, quite powerful. The ability of aging is something very, very unique. And it's something incredible. If you have opportunity to taste that plot, it's a bit the story of the region, and maybe one of my favorite wines from the region. So something incredible, planted 150 years ago, so nearly 50 years ago. So something very special. And the last one is the second plot, ungrafted plot of Saint-Mont appellation. There is the historical monument, and there is that one. You see the images, it's huge. This one is huge. We know the exact year of plantation. It was planted in the year 1871. It's ungrafted, half an hectare. So we are producing around 1,000, 1,200, 1,400 bottles a year. Yeah, it's something very, very special. You can imagine.
And I know that, so this was one of the plots that André Dubosc wanted to nurture, but basically you said he kept it like a garden. You know, it was never put to work. And then it's been relatively recently that you actually went back into the vineyard and said, okay, let's bring it up to, let's put it back into work and actually you had to bring all the vines back into shape and then started making the wine. How long ago that you actually started?
The first vintage is 2011. Sorry, 2011. So yeah, 12 years ago.
How incredible! This vineyard has been, it was planted in 1871. Yeah. And then actually we didn't hear from it, but you kept it alive. And then from 2011, you give it back.
It was table wine only for the family during 120 years. Can you imagine? And maybe a funny anecdote is that the family decided to declare the plantation of the vineyard in the year 1969, because just before it was a garden for them. They were drinking the wine, so they didn't declare to the government the plantation of that plot, not to pay taxes on the wine production, because it was only for them. And when they started, when André Dubosc and the team started to say, okay, let's try to make wine, let's try to think about a new project, they say, okay, we will plant it right now. But we found the real year of plantation in the house close to the plot, and it was 1871. Yeah, it's incredible.
Oh, Olivier, we could listen to you for many hours, but unfortunately we have to bring the session to a close. I've just got a couple of questions for you. From Cassia Dubla. When recuperating and reintroducing those forgotten ancestral grape varieties, what is the risk of lack of genetic variation due to the small number of original samples?
Okay, you're right. If you refound another plant of Tardif, for sure, I will love it, because we know our diversity is important. You're right, Sarah, and the question is wonderful. We are trying to refine. We are trying to put again in the vineyard, for example, for the Tardif, the Massal selection that was selected in the year 1840 in Vassal. So yeah, diversity is always important. Inside a grape, it's really important. But it's better to have one plant and only one Massal selection than nothing at all. Can you imagine how many grapes we lost between the years 1950, after the Second War, to the year 1970 or 1980, when André Dubosc and the team did the job? The loss of diversity in our region is incredible. We lost maybe, I don't know, maybe hundreds and hundreds of grapes that completely disappeared. We were lucky enough to find one plant of 1 or 2 or 3. Now we have the ambition to redevelop, to re-understand, to rebuild the story of those grapes. But with clones. Now it's a clone. But everywhere in the world, the wine production is based on clone, coming from one selection and grafted and grafted and grafted. So yeah, we are poor in terms of diversity inside that grape, for example, or inside the P de Bernard #1. There is only one plant at the top, but we are so rich in terms of diversity between those grapes. So if we lose one grape because there is a big disease on that specific selection, okay, we will lose that grape. Okay, but we are so rich in terms of diversity.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Olivier. If anyone has any questions, please get in touch. We can connect you with Olivier and team.
Sure. Not so easy to connect with me. I'm sorry.
And good luck with the story.